Now as we're live, I'm getting like a frog in my throat.
Water.
Water, yeah, tea here. Beautiful. So welcome, sisters, to this sacred conversation between me and my beautiful temple body artist sister, Nicole Andrea Pemberton. Let's take a moment to settle in, to arrive, to breathe. We're gonna talk about some beautiful, juicy topics today, which I deeply feel in my heart and in my womb that they want to be just elevated and really spoken to. And these topics are inclusion and diversity through deep, radical self-love and creating spaces, creating safe spaces for all. Yeah, and these juicy, beautiful topics have been very alive for me and my sister, and also inside of our beautiful ambassador sisterhood group. And yeah, I just felt the call to elevate them even more and also share them with all of you ladies here. Yeah, so I just want to introduce my beautiful sister so you can get to know her better and yeah, just know who she is and why we are here together. So I just gathered some information about my beautiful sister from her personal website page, which is The Goddess Moves, and I can share the link afterwards below. And yeah, Nicole is a performing artist and dance educator. And she studied dance at McEwan University. I hope I pronounced that right.
McEwan.
McEwan. Oh, okay. And also she studied at University of Calgary, where she is currently where she is currently living in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And yeah, her movement, as I mentioned before, is called The Goddess Moves. And she has this beautiful Facebook group, Facebook sisterhood group, and also her website and her page. And yeah, in her offerings, she offers workshops, one-on-one sessions. She teaches and loves to collaborate with beautiful people that are in alignment with her. And she has performed professionally and taught over 100,000 plus kids and adults counting. She's interested in spirituality, energy healing, metaphysics, personal development, angels, astrology, fitness, wellness, and health. And yeah, she has some beautiful, beautiful offerings, as well as an embodied womb alchemy course. And yeah, she's just been such a beautiful pillar and rock as I've been going through all of these initiations in the beautiful temple body arts global mentorship that we are in together. So I deeply honor and respect her for her work. And yeah, I just feel so blessed to have her in my life. And yeah, as a support and as a co-creating goddess here in this beautiful conversation that we're having today. So welcome here, Nicole. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for taking the time and getting up early on Saturday. Oh yeah.
Well, thank you for having me here and allowing this conversation to flourish in your sacred space. Yeah, it is 8 a.m. In Canada, and it is white outside. The snow just came down, and I don't see it stopping right now. So yeah, I'm inside. I may look like summer, but outside is another story. But yes, thank you so much for having me here.
Beautiful. So to start, maybe, yeah, just let's start organically. So maybe you want to share what's alive for you right now and maybe some of your personal story, what you feel could really open up this conversation about inclusion and diversity through deep radical self-love.
Mm, yeah, well, this is always, I mean, this has always been a life experience from, from birth, really. Um, it really didn't enter, I guess, my conscious thinking, probably not until, you start to move in the world and you're around your classmates in school, and you start to hear conversations and how people treat you in different settings, and questions start to arise. Well, why does this person say this, and why does people react to certain things a different way? And growing up, my parents have always been very proactive with raising my sister and myself, to understand, or to understand and have an awareness of the perceptions that are out there in the world, and to be prepared for that, and how to navigate that, um, as a person of color. So it really started from birth,
Mm.
but also with an open understanding of, you know, we 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 don't let the sometimes the messaging and the narrative of um, ignorance or disrespect, or ingrained messaging or programming of a negative context to hinder how we walk through life. And but always having an understanding that because I am the color that I am going to have a few additional judgments and hurdles to navigate and rewrite and face as I move through life. Um, so that has always, for myself, I am aware, but I don't let it stop me from doing what I need to do. So I've been in a space where, um, my thinking was, well, there's how many people in the world? We're all shades, we're all colors, we're all human beings. And I've always came from a space of love. I've came from a space of just like, well, if we get along, well then cool. I have there is no pretext for, oh, I don't like you because of X, Y, and Z. Physical appearance. So even as a kid, I would look at my hand and be like, okay, well, it's light on this side and it's this on this side. So I'd be like, so I go to my friends like as elementary, and just be like, well, I'm the same as you. And they'd be like, no, you're not. Not knowing any better, I'd be like, well, yeah, I've got that. And, I look at the bottom of my feet and I'd be like, yeah, like I've got two colors, I got that one and that one. And they were very quick to say, no, you're not, So I'd be like, well, I got confused, because at first I got confused about being called black. And I'd look at my skin and I'd be like, well, no, this is brown. So what, I don't get it, Um, and
Oh.
as an innocent kid, right? Like not knowing the world as it is.
Yeah.
in that context. I was looking through the lens of like, well, okay, well, what's the difference, you know? And in that, you know, as I grew up and moved on, you know, you get privy to why things are the way they are. And it's very easy to go into a place of, you know, when you hear the stories and where you hear the negativity, and it's very easy to go into the stories of uh, just not, you know, of being angry at the world, you know, and say, okay, I'm only going to do X, Y, and Z. But I never thought of it like that. I was always just like, you know what, I'm here and I'm going to continue to be here. And I've always been a person to be open of all, right?
Mm.
So even as in, I think junior high, my first education about, I had a friend, so not have, still do. This particular person, you know, he is, or she, and now is, you know, at the time, like identified as a gay man. I was like, okay, cool. You know, we're still, you know, we're friends, whatever. And he came across um, a lot of backlash, and I was there to defend him. So this has always been within me, you know, from since I could really talk and express about inequality, injustice, um, against gender, race, but also ask the questions about why, and to have those conversations, you know, with and get to understand why things are the way they are. And now, as you know, as a grown adult, to really express and to advocate, and to also to be able to open up these dialogues and these conversations, to really open up this the mind about, you know, the experiences that that we have, and where people are coming from, and to also understand, and to get into a place, to hopefully get into a place of understanding, um, so we can coexist without with less of this um, polarization.
Mm. So beautiful.
Mm.
Yeah, I can feel the potency of just, yeah, as you say, open up the conversation and just talk from human to human, like without all these like colors or shapes or forms. Just talk to the human being and just listen to
Absolutely. Yeah, the human. However, we cannot negate, you know, not seeing the person in front of you,
them.
right? That's a very um, it's passively dishonoring the person. If you say to me, well, I don't see color, you're just this, right?
Mm.
That is passively dishonoring like my presence, my experience, my being. Like, you know, I am a brown skinned woman. You can't negate that, right? You can't to say that, oh, I don't see color, I see everybody. You know, we have to be in a space where, no, I see every shade and I honor that, you know.
Mm.
Um, so being able to just be in that context of being able to honor every person's shade, right? Because I mean, my family is long, right? I have people as like Snow White as you, all the way to what is really black, right? Like dark, right? So my family spreads abroad. So and I honor, and like, I mean, that's, you know, that's family. But I, in a deeper context, you know, to be able to honor all shades
Mm.
and say, okay, I see you, I honor you. It's a dangerous rhetoric to be in. I don't see color. because then you dishonor that person as is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
felt the importance of that coming across. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, to navigate between feeling the energy and the person, but also like just being in reality and speaking to what is and opening up conversations about these like hot topics that the
Mm-hmm.
people don't often talk about. Like, I don't remember having conversations like this before. Like, really, I had people like friends around me, like dark and different colors, like also all different colors, but like we never got to these really like juicy hot topics. So I'm so glad that now I am able, I guess, to be able to provide the space to talk about the truth and just how, yeah, that's something that is really important for me. How can we as, or how can I as a white woman just, um, yeah, how can I support and how can I open the space and create a safe space for all? And how can I make you feel more seen and more valued and appreciated? For example, like if we talk about us here, and then also opening up like for a wider range, in my life and in my offerings, for example.
I think it's, you know, everybody is going to resonate with, I mean, the beautiful thing about being in the world is that there's how many billion people out there, right? And everybody is going to resonate with somebody different. So it's, I think it's not the importance of being liked by everyone. However, I do believe there, the door and the conscious awareness of of being welcoming, to all genders and all experiences, and also to understand that we don't we everybody walks in their own experience, and to
Mhm.
pretend to know what different people's experiences are is we don't want to go there, but allow that conversation to allow space for the conversation to say, you know what, and to also to do the research and the homework for yourself to understand, or to at least get a baseline understanding of why some things are the way they are, and also just to be able to extend the invitation. You know, a lot of the times the invitation is a step one, right?
Mhm.
To say that this space is inclusive for all genders, all all cultures or whatever. If it's, you know, if it's female specific, it's female specific, right? But I had a conversation with someone asking me, you know, I work primarily with women, and somebody asked me if this this lady identified as a trans, right,
Mhm.
transsexual, and is the space safe for her? And I said, absolutely. I'm thinking in my mind, absolutely, it's safe for her, no problem. But I didn't, I had to think about that as to why that question was asked. You know,
Mhm.
I would just, at the time I thought it was obvious. If this is for women, awesome. You identify as a woman, come on down. But that woman may have thought she was going into a safe space, but then encountered judgment from other people, or kind of got strange looks, or maybe the conversation wasn't safe, so they didn't feel safe to open up, right?
Mhm.
So, which I believe which after further conversation, that's exactly why she asked me, right? So that got me thinking about just having that description in events or offerings and saying, what does a safe space, what does an all-inclusive and welcoming space really mean? And
Mm.
also, you know, being being uh, open to representation, right? So let's say you have guests coming to your event. Um, you want to have different voices and different representation just to, we're in a society, we're in a global society. We're in this day and age where it's just like you are at a detriment if you don't have more than one voice being represented, because the general audience is looking. They might not, sometimes they may not say it, but they are looking for, are they going to find that representation? Are they going to see that, oh, this is a global community? Are you going to see that there is diversity and there are different voices that are coming in and talking about different experiences, right? Or coming from another space, right? The danger of having the same rhetoric is that you're going to get this this echo chamber of one experience,
Yeah.
and the openness and the empathetic and the empathy and the compassion for other experiences won't be there. It's like, and it's almost like feeling into the personal of something happening to somebody close to you, right? You are going to feel a different way. It's going to feel more personal, right? If something like injustice happened to somebody that is very close to you, you're going to feel fired up. You're going to feel a certain way. You want to do something about it, right? And
Mm.
it's really to put ourselves in that position, right? Where it's not just somebody personal. It's not just like when something happens on the other side of the world, it'd be like, oh, that doesn't concern me, right?
Mm.
But it does concern you because it is part of the global fabric. We are all interconnected energetically, right? So what happens over here and happens over there, it matters, right? So as we're creating, as you move forward and create sacred spaces, being able to, be very quite honest. Look, you are in Caucasian color, right? And you come from, this X, Y, and Z background, right? But also I honor, but being also to say, you know what, I honor X, Y, and Z, and it's not just talk; it's an action. When you speak up about injustices, you're in the action. You sign the petition. You're out in the field. You bring awareness to X, Y, and Z, right? So it becomes a more action step than just talk about it. Say, oh, this was really sad. I wish I could do something about it, and then move on,
Mm.
right? Which sometimes happen in the space. I'm not saying that, oh yeah, you do that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that is what sometimes happen. I sometimes see conversations that empathize with social injustice and say, oh, that's really sad, and I feel heartbroken, and that's I never knew. And then that awareness and that consciousness goes away, and you go about your day, right?
Yeah.
And then there's no conscious action as to um as you step into the world, you know how do you allow that include to and express and be a part of the change, be a part of the new paradigm, be a part of the expression and action of what is okay and what is not okay, right? So the first step really is to be able to speak and open, and just like how we're doing now, we're having this conversation, right?
Mm.
Right, from one culture to another, right? We're having this conversation, and really, it's not just about my people. it's not about that. It's about the global community, the global connection, right? It's about all, right? All women, all men, children, all of that as a global society. I don't just talk about people of color. I talk about how we communicate and how we interact and how we perceive and move forward with a a heightened consciousness in our thoughts, our actions, and how we step out into the world, right? And to notice any of those subtle judgments or perceptions, you know, how they can sometimes play out without you really being conscious and aware of it.
Hmm.
Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I really appreciate in our conversation, in our connection, that I notice I'm getting more aware, like every time, about these subtle, like even just walking down, seeing the sky is really dark and just a little fear arising. And it's not, yeah, it's unconscious normally. So now I'm just realizing it and I'm asking myself why and what are my experiences, what are just maybe programs from society, and yeah, how can I teach myself like a different way and just really step into the conversation and step into the meeting of this person. Like if I notice some unconscious programming arising, rather than shying away and closing my eyes and like, oh no, that didn't happen, to actively, as you mentioned, just go forward and look for connection, look for conversation. And yeah, that's the change, like the little things, to really observe and be aware of it. And yeah, even though I always consider myself as a global citizen and I have been very international, like English is always, like, I guess right now I'm speaking even more English than German even though I live in Austria. It's so I'm more in this mindset of global society, and still there are these little things that do matter because yeah, they do something to me, and they keep me from having beautiful relationships or just yeah, being open to new ways and new yeah, new interactions. And they're not, I don't even know where they come from sometimes. So yeah.
Well, they, it comes from the past. Um, it comes from the society. It comes from the media. It comes from, conversations, of what people talk about. It comes from body language. It comes from this mindset of, you know, of what gets broadcasted out there, um, that gets into our consciousness. Um, and especially like when we're so influenced by media, and also just in um, how we grow up. If a certain story has been told, then that is what the reflection of that story is
Mm,
going to manifest into the general society, right?
mm,
So if you can, if for instance, the media has been the story of the vilifying of black men, um, as dangerous, as um, aggressive,
mm,
as too powerful, some stories would say. So they had to oppress and put that down, right? Now, as we move forward, as we've progressed in to the now, that rhetoric is unfortunately still there. Why? Because of generations of programming,
Mm.
stemming back way from slavery and before. So, and that plays out on the news, on certain media. I mean, yes, the entertainment sector is getting a little bit better, but still there's a lot of work to be done about treating a certain group of people like human beings, like they're not all of a sudden be like, okay, they come in, you're going to clutch your purse. Why? So and that's beautiful. That's great that you're aware of saying, okay, you see a person, why all of a sudden you do this?
Mm.
Right? They didn't do anything. It's just that could be, that's a son, that's a father, that's a boy just trying to get from A to B, going to work, right? Or going to provide for, if they have children, going to provide for their family, their children, brother, their sister. They're not thinking about you. They're thinking about where they have to go, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, being able to shift that.
Right.
I'm not saying everybody is perfect. On all shades of the spectrum, there are some beautiful, honorable, awesome people out there, and then unfortunately, there are not. But in the global context, where are we focusing our energy? Are we focusing it on the story that has been maybe formed around toxicity, or are we forming our opinion around, let's form a different narrative and give
Mm.
people and give um, the space to be,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I truly desire that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah, for me and for, yeah, like bigger parts of the world, just to like give everybody also a chance, because if that story plays out, like the person doesn't even have a chance like to anything, like he can't, like there is no way of interacting if the story is really loud, like, and you don't notice it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, noticing it is definitely the first step, and then just opening up again to new experiences. Hmm. Beautiful. Hmm. So what else did I have? Yeah. Yeah, I would love you to maybe tell us how you came to the work that you're doing now, like this beautiful, important work of, yeah, opening safe spaces for women, for goddesses to, yeah, heal and to get vulnerable and to transmute their challenges. And yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you want to share?
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this work, I'm realizing, this work has been inside of me. I like to see the seeds have been planted since birth. I'm just
Mm.
now waking up,
Mm.
right? So I've always been arts has been my first vehicle of expression, and mostly through movement. I'd like to take pictures and draw, as a kid, but it was really movement and dance, and just being able to um, shape my body into different different configurations and really use my body as an architect for space, you know. And when I saw movement on stage, and whether it's through the TV or in live theater, you know, I was in. So that became my first real deep dive into the goddess arts and the expressive arts is through dance. And then, you know, so I did that through childhood. I went on to be a professional dancer, and was fortunate to do that for a good while, and then be able to travel and to learn from other master teachers. But on the way of doing that, you know, I've always been into, as you said before, I've always been interested into wellness and going deeper and into spirituality, and just learning about just different ways of the world, and also going into spaces. You know, like I would like going into yoga. I usually would always be at the time, you know, I'd be going into yoga and be the only person of color in that room, you know. But I was just like, well, I'm interested in this, so I'm going. It didn't really stop me from doing that. So a lot of the wellness spaces, you know, it at the time, and sometimes still are, I'd be the only person of color in the room. But it was fascinating to me and interesting to me. So, you know, I would go. And there definitely has been some very key markers, spiritual markers in my life that was just like, you know, the universe saying, wake up, right? I didn't listen fully. And I think what the two markers that really deconstructed and just had me go sit down and listen and see what's happening, was when my mother transitioned to being an angel quite suddenly. And that it was January 23rd, 2014. And that completely shifted my world. You know, that was, you know, it was heartbreaking on all levels. And it really just cracked me open, you know, to the depths that I've never, not never, but at that experience, I had never felt that before. You know, I've had, you know, close members of the family transition as well. But that one, you know, that was my mother. So for that, when that happened, it was deep on all levels. I had never known grieving and that process before, you know, until then. So within trying to figure life out, you know, here's my first woman in my life. She's no longer here physically, and how to walk throughout, you know, my family and I, we were coping as best as we can, and moving, and in each of us in our own healing journeys, you know. In the midst of that, a little bit later on, I find out that I have benign tumors in my womb called fibroids. And there were multiple. And I realized, I learned, you know, that generations of women in my family, they all had it.
Wow.
And and as I was going throughout the medical field of trying to figure it out, it was perceived as normal, that especially people of color, women of color, you know, this is what it happens a lot more. So, you know, don't worry, but you're gonna be fine, kind of thing. But the handling of it was really, it wasn't great. I really had to step out, and because of those experiences, step out and be my own advocate, and really speak up for myself and take charge of my health. Because I had to change gynecologists, and I had to change family doctors till I was fully heard. My first gynecologist appointment was horrible. I was age shamed, I was culture shamed, I was really treated insensitively. And it really made me feel powerless.
Mm.
And I was like, I was going in this space to get help, to get some understanding, to get some clarity, to get some hope. And I left feeling more low. So that that experience really, and I know that there are great gynecologists and there's great doctors out there, but I feel that sometimes because there is so much going on, people are coming in and in and out and in and out, that sometimes the sensitivity of how to treat a person as a human being who is coming in at a very vulnerable state to sometimes there's something that shuts off. And I think we need to waken up that, that interaction with people. You are sitting with a human, especially in the hospital, in a medical context, you are sitting with a human being who is vulnerable and asking questions. Everybody just wants to live and be healthy. So here I was in this gynecologist office, being asked if I could just get you pregnant, then we could find out what's going on. I'm like, are you kidding me? You want me to get pregnant just so you can find out what's going on and dispose of that? It's like, oh, now we figured it out. Now let's move on.
What the
That
fuck?
that was horrifying. But at the same time, that experience made me say, okay, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to this.
Mm.
So that really helped to draw a fire about, okay, I started having more conversations with women in my family. And then people started to, I started going to women's groups and doing my own research into, okay, what is the womb? Um, because I never even thought about my, it was like my belly, vagina, there was no sacred context to that at all, right? So the uterus, okay, great, when my moon cycle, like the menstrual cycle, which I now call the moon cycle, I had no deeper knowledge of that. It was just like the menstrual cycle was just there. There was no sacred nature to that. It was just something that happened. At the time, it was really heavy. So not knowing that wasn't normal to have heavy periods. Heavy moon cycles that go on for more than 5 days. To have like 5 days of heaviness and then taper off to 4 more days, which is what I had for a good while. That's not normal,
Mm.
right? And I didn't know. I didn't know your moon cycle could be a barometer for your health. I didn't know that the relationship to your body and the love for yourself and your body and how you treat your body. I didn't know about that. I didn't know about the sacred power and the energetic power of our bodies and how we connect to the earth and how and how our emotional system, our physical system, our intuitive system is really in tune with our womb space. I didn't know anything about this. I didn't know about our sexual power. I didn't know about about how our womb space and how our creativity, right, and how we birth things into the world, not just through children, I how these things stem from the originators from our womb. I didn't know any of these things. I didn't know about how the digestive system really correlates our digestive system, our nervous system, our even our breath, how this all connects, how all this inner stuff connects, and it really extends to our outer world. I didn't know that yoga had roots in Egypt. I didn't know about all these, like all of these things, right? I didn't know anything about the goddess, the feminine arts, and all of these deep things. This really came through me from, or not came through me, but the awareness and the deeper dive into these arts and to the expansion of these expressive arts came through me through that fibroid process journey. You know, as I advocated for myself and got more help from other holistic practitioners, and then also changed my health team so I could get a doctor that would understand and hear me. So I could get a gynecologist that could walk me through the process and answer all of the questions that I had, because I had a lot. And then I said, okay, the surgery was the way I had to go. And through that, and then after surgery, through that healing process alone, about, okay, being able to go a step further and in a space where I could no longer keep any of this bubbling energy in me. It had to come out. And so through honoring and through looking at the sacred practices, I'm not sure why that got fuzzy there for a second. That's kind of weird. Let's see if I can.
Happened, right?
I don't know. There we go. Through honoring ancestral lineages, through honoring the connection and the energetic connection of the body, through honoring the spiritual connection, through honoring the goddess energy, the divine feminine energy, through honoring our contemporary wellness and self-love, and nourishing our cups, through honoring the social justice. This is not just, I honestly think that this whole rise of this extended rise of the feminine, right, this is the new revolution. This is the new revolution of our time, that sisters and brothers, let's not forget about the men here, right?
Yeah.
But as we're in these containers of women rising up, we're also ushering this, we're also ushering this movement for the men as well, for them to be in this conscious conversation, right? It's not just about us, it's about the whole. So our men, our boys, our sons, our fathers, they are all a part of this conversation as well. As how we treat ourselves and how we nourish ourselves, it is going to bubble out into the collective conversation, right? And how we treat ourselves, our partners are privy to our journey, right? So that is the birth or the expansion of the goddess moves. And as I marry the movement, the expressive, the dance, and how we embody this expression and how we walk out into this life, through movement, through expression, through communication, through the artistic, but also igniting our fire and our purpose, right? As we ignite and we fire and walk through this life with a greater presence, we also get into the consciousness of the social collective. It is no longer acceptable to be dishonoring to other people. It is no longer acceptable to put your money into businesses that don't help the global collective, right? It is no longer acceptable to treat the earth as it's without respect, So all of these things, stemming through the womb space, right? It's amazing. Stemming through the womb space, it is a very interconnected weaving of how of honoring and realizing that we came from a space of love. We were birthed from a space of love. And we come into this in our physical bodies, we move through life. And depending on how we grew up, we either remember that or there's filters that get put on. And then we spend half of our time taking those filters off to remember what that is. And that deep love for ourselves really affects everything around us. It affects ourselves and it affects every relationship, every facet of our life. All from the womb space. Right? This all came to me from my deep healing journey from opening my heart, truly what it means to open my heart, and also truly what it means to unfortunately go through a health journey, but then also through that health journey coming into deeper realizations about the self and using that experience to usher in this platform that I have put out into the world.
Wow, what a journey.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
so much there. I love it. Yeah. And it reminds me of I journeyed today with Kuan Yin, and she says exactly what you just mentioned. Out of the deep, transformational, painful experiences comes the jewel and comes the light and the remembrance and all the teachings that we are here to share.
Mm-hmm.
And often it's through these really challenging times in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
That was 6 years ago, right?
Yeah.
6 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're in 2020, so absolutely.
So when did you birth your school?
My business?
The business, yeah.
Yeah.
School business. Maybe it's gonna be a school one day.
Yeah. Well, no, that's all, open to whatever comes through that needs to be expressed. So we're in 2020. So I would say we're moving into the second year. Yeah, about really being visible, public, out into the world. There have been, before there were small workshops and, small steps going out there, but still being a little reserved about what am I putting out there into the world. And then having the courage, then about 2 years ago, to have the courage and say, all right, this is where I'm going. Here I am, and every day, like this, I mean, to be out there into the world and speaking my truth, or speaking to what the reflections of what I'm seeing and hearing, and also honoring the creativity that is coming through, and so that I'm putting out. I really didn't get courageous about that to play at a bigger level until about 2 years ago. So, because I was plagued with, oh, what are people going to think? Who am I to put this out? I don't know if I have enough experience, or, all those things that we tell ourselves, that story that's saying, oh, I don't know. I need to do this. I need more of this. I need to get more. I need to study more. I need to read more. I don't have enough, as much as experience as X, Y, and Z, or this person, and the comparison wheel starts going. But what I learned is that, each of our experience is basically our school. We have graduated from X, Y, and Z, right? You have your experiences, I have my experiences. And that is basically the school of life. Yes, we get our schooling, our knowledge through reading, through educating ourselves in different ways. But the school of life gives us it completes that circle, right? It completes that circle. It completes that. It really helps to really like have that embodiment, right? We can learn from here, right? But here plus here plus here plus the womb space plus how we express ourselves, that is where the transformation, that's where the alchemy happens, right?
Yeah.
And we all have it, and being able to trust in that, in our the experiences that we have been through, because I guarantee you everybody's experience will speak to somebody, and that is how we can affect change into this world, right? My experience will resonate with you, will resonate with somebody listening, and will, and it's been proven when we share our experiences, they can save a life.
Mm.
It can pierce right into somebody's soul and be like, okay,
Yeah.
And that's that part of the connection. So no matter where we are in life and no matter what shade we are all connected. I honor you as a beautiful Austrian, lovely woman, on the self-love, and you're my temple body, our sister, as we have walked through this journey together for the last little bit. And, here we are, right? Just to put this into context, to be in this space, two cultures, having a meaningful conversation, having an open conversation on a global platform, right? Being able to connect with you and to the sisters that are watching, and brothers, right, that are watching, right? One shade with another shade, having an open and beautiful dialogue about something that is very apparent in our time right now. To have that space when this would not happen. Where are we? 2020. Put yourself 100 years ago. This would not happen.
Yeah.
You understand? Go 200 years back. This would not happen. Right? So on that spectrum, definitely the evolution has happened. We still have work to do, but we're in a space where we're willing to do the work to get it done. And I honor you, and I thank you for this space of conversation.
Thank you. It was so beautiful. Yeah, and that's where you are now, opening safe spaces for women. And I'm not sure if you're hosting events with all genders and.
Right now, just for women, but I do have one or two events in creation right now to include and to have women and men in the conversation and in the space, so we can all journey and dialogue together. But yes, I do have. I do work primarily with women, but also creating for all.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a beautiful circle now, I feel. And wow, so much here, so much juiciness, so much important issues. I feel very purposeful and very happy and satisfied right now. So yeah, thank you for carving out the time of your Saturday, and just let's keep co-creating.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for the work that you're doing in the radical self-love journey. And this work, all of it is valued and appreciated. And yeah, let's keep going.
Yeah, let's keep
Hmm.
going. Yay.
Hmm.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Thank you so much. Have a beautiful rest of your Saturday. And yeah,
Thank
all the
you.
love in you to
Beautiful. Thank you, Cornelia. Thank you, sisters, for watching. Much love.
come. Bye.